This episode of the Survivor 50 Files is brought to you by our friends over at Manta Sleep. Summertime is officially here. The days are longer, the sun is brighter, and while all of that extra daylight can feel energizing, it can quickly sabotage your sleep. Later sunsets disrupt your body's circadian rhythm, making it harder to fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up feeling refreshed. That's where Manta Sleep comes in. Whether you're blocking out daylight or tuning out the sounds of summer nights, taking control of your sleep environment helps you get deep, restorative rest no matter how long the sun stays up. I love this sleep mask. When we looked for a sponsor for this podcast, they were the first company that I jumped to. I bought one of these during COVID. I was sleeping very poorly. I had a lot of anxiety. This doubled the quality of my sleep. I am loyal to it, and I've been influencing for this way longer than this podcast. Visit the Manta Sleep website and use our discount code 50files. That's 50 FILES for 10% off your order. Discount code is 50files, 50 FILES. Let's get to the show. What is going on, everybody? We are back again. Another episode of the Survivor 50 Files. I am Brandon Donlon, and we're talking Christian Hubicki, everybody's favorite doctor. Is that fair to say? Is he the best Survivor doctor? That's a question for later. We'll get into that. But I'm joined by an ally of Christian Hubicki, but that's not, we don't lead with, that didn't pass the Bechdel test of who this person is. This is one of my, Gabby Pascuzzi, who I've known for so long, much longer than me on the island, a little bit longer than her on the island. But I'm so thrilled. We've never done this together, and this is great. Gabby, how are you?
I'm good. Wow, that was such a good introduction. Actually, speaking of the Bechdel test, I'm currently reading a graphic novel by the woman that's named after, that I literally have right next to me. This was not planned at all. This is by Alison Bechdel. So, shout out to that.
Shout out to the Bechdel test. Does that pass the Bechdel test? I assume it is. Is it about the Bechdel test?
No, it's not. Yeah, she's like an author, and this is a graphic novel about her life, and I'm like one chapter in, but that's who it's named after, the test. But now I feel like I shouldn't have brought this up without knowing enough, because now I'm like, I don't actually know why it's named that, like, named after her.
Yet. If you read the first chapter of Harry Potter,
I don't think it's in the book. It has nothing to do with the book.
You have nothing. No, if you're reading Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Stone isn't in the first chapter. Like, you didn't get there yet. It might be all about the Bechdel test. Has anybody done anything with the Bechtold test, like Kellen Bechtold? Like, we make that into a game? Is that IP that's being left in the? Yeah, Kellen, if you're listening, and I know you are, get in contact. We can make that into something magical. The Bechtold
Brandon
test.
can help you copyright that.
How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. Enjoying the summer off from, as you know, doing my PhD. This is weird talking to you on a podcast like this, as if we don't talk all the time, because now it's like we're talking publicly. So
everybody's watching,
and we match. We're matching in our little green. We're
not going to flex.
Plan.
For people who are watching this, for the auditory listeners, you might not be able to get this, but we were matching. We are matching in green, but we were flexing before we recorded. One of our arms of the two of us looks very toned. I won't say who it is, but it's not me. But Gabby's arm's looking pretty toned. 2025.
Thank you.
Listen, season 50, Gabby, would have been a different situation. You know what I mean? You and Jonathan would have been lifting stuff up. It would have been fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me and Jonathan.
Gabby, how do we know each other? How did this happen?
We know each other.
Yeah.
From before I was on Survivor and before you were on Survivor, but via Survivor, through the wonderful world of the fan community. Sure. Do you want to tell your version of the story?
Picture this. It's the spring of 2018. The cast of David vs. Goliath gets leaked. Shout out to Redmond. You did a lot of good for people.
It had to have been the summer, because I already played the game of Survivor.
And I'm reading the leak, right? And Gabby's tweets are so funny. There's such funny tweets. And I, back in the day, I was funny. So I
you are funny,
Gabby. I'm all right. I DM'd Gabby. I said, your tweets are so funny. Good luck. That was it. That was a tweet.
I think you said they were hysterical, by the way.
And they were.
Hysterical.
We should, you know what?
Terrifying.
We should go back and revisit that. There's the
We
screenshot
should.
somewhere. And then, Gabby, we meet each other in person. And
Yes.
the dots are connected.
Yes. I didn't know, but actually I think I complimented you on your t-shirt. Do you remember what shirt you were wearing?
I was wearing a you're familiar with Legend of the Hidden Temple if you're listening to this. I was wearing, what is it, the Green Parrots? I was wearing the t-shirt of the Green Parrots team.
I didn't remember which team it was, but yeah, it was. I thought maybe it was Silver Monkeys, Snakes. Which
I'm sorry, I think it was the Green Monkeys. What did I just say?
Green Parrot?
Purple Parrot, Green Monkey, Silver Snake.
Got it. They couldn't find a alliteration for the monkey. They didn't do like Maroon Monkey.
Maroon Monkey. Yeah, it seems like it would make sense. I don't remember the other names. And there was Blue Barracuda is the other one.
Yeah, you
and
weren't
then maybe
wearing that.
Red. I think Red Jaguar is speaking to me. I don't know if that's correct, but
we could look at. We have the
regardless.
internet at our fingertips, so we're not going to look it up. Well, you were wearing a shirt from Legend of the Hidden Temples and Legends plural, Temple singular, and I was like, "That's an awesome shirt." And then we just started talking, and then I think you were maybe you didn't want to say it, but you were like, "I have to address that I've actually sent you a DM before." And I was like, "Oh, I saw that DM. Thanks for thinking I'm funny."
And now it's public and canon, which is great, which is what I've always
The
wanted.
rest is history.
But then that's 2018 and we're here. Look at us.
That's
Look
amazing.
at what we did.
Yeah. We literally became friends through that, which I can't say for. I love meeting people in the community, but like you and I just immediately kind of hit it off, and we talked long before you were on the island and months before my season even aired. I think I really appreciated having a friend who understood Survivor and was a fan of that whole world, because none of my friends were, but who wasn't somebody I had just played Survivor with. Because also it was my first time like in the fan community. So I didn't really have any, like now I know, like the RHAP podcasters and people, like I know them. But at the time, like I didn't really have any friends that watched Survivor. So it's so wholesome for us to become friends. And I always knew that you would make it onto the show one day. And famously, you did.
Famously, I did. And I did really well once I got there, which is the underreported story, is that it went really well.
You're being facetious, but like, I actually think you did do well, except for the parts where you didn't do well. Sure. And as you know, this is my chair. Hold on. I get to be on my soapbox because I've got a captive audience of being Team Brandon, because you get a hard time for various incidents during your time on the program. But I think you were one of the funniest people on. I think the reason you and I are friends are because we just tell each other that we're funny all the time. You were so funny on the program, and that actually is underreported because you were very, very self-aware the whole time. And one of my favorite Brandon Donlonisms was when somebody said, like, "How are you? And where are you from? And how are you doing?" And you were like, "New Jersey and bad." Just funny stuff. It's a good line. You had so many good lines, and I know that you're a social king that I feel is underappreciated. So if you're not a fan of Brandon Donlon, you're probably not listening to this podcast. But if you weren't before, you better be now. By I don't know how many interviews you've had before me, but hopefully, I'm so happy that everyone gets to see how freaking funny and smart you are. So this is just going to be who are we talking about today? Just talking about our
Carl, who's on 50. I forget which one that you're here for. No, I'm kidding. Christian, if you think I'm funny, you definitely think Christian. I mean, Christian, for you, the listener, Christian's great and so funny, and so social. Tell me, Gabby, about the pregame. You're in the airport. You're in the hotel. You're flying to Fiji. What's the Christian Hubicki first impression from you?
Yes. Well, I immediately identified that this is the male nerd of the season. I believe one of his bags was a duffel bag. And I believe that this duffel bag, like one of his main bags, like I'm not talking like the personal item, like it was a big duffel bag. And I believe and he can't correct me because he's in Fiji right now, that it was a Disney bag. Like, it was Disney. It had embroidery on it or something, but it was like from someone who had been to Disney Land or World. I'm not sure. I might say Land because Emily, his partner's family's from California. So and at the time they live in Florida now. They didn't live there then. So I'm going to guess it was Disneyland from California. They can correct me later. And I remember thinking like, oh, there's some guy with a Disney bag and it's a duffel bag. Like, you didn't even bring a roller bag. And also I thought he was a fair amount younger than he ended up being. I think when we played, he was 32, and I thought maybe he was, I don't know, 28 or something. That's not that much younger.
How old were you?
Acting like I was 25. So I thought he was more in my direct age range because he just looked so wholesome with his like Disney bag. But I was like worried that he was gonna be this like Disney adult, which I don't even think he's like not even. So I think I've asked him about that afterwards, and it may have been like his dad's bag, or like it was just like a bag. It's not like his dearest and nearest bag. But I remember being like, duffel bag was a bad choice.
Yeah, in a game of first impressions, it's a tough one to lead off with. I think I'm thinking about a Survivor Disney adult. I think I only know of one canonical Survivor Disney adult. Do you know
Gavin.
of any Survivor? Gavin. It's Gavin,
Is that what you
who I
were gonna say?
believe, and we'll cut this out if he doesn't end up coming, but I believe he's on the podcast tomorrow to talk about Rick Devin. So, Gavin, we're talking about you. We're here already.
All right. Last time I was on with Rob, I also shaded Disney adults, so I'm just getting in all kinds of trouble. I'm sorry.
I get it. Listen, I don't have the money to be a Disney adult. If I did, not to say that Gavin has, I don't want to assign a wealth to Gavin, but like, it's so expensive. It is super fun to be at Disney. I've never denied
It's fun
it's a
to
fun
go to a
place to
theme
be.
park.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the thing is, I feel like I shade Disney adults, but then actually low key, I love Universal. I'm like a Universal girly. So I'm just like, I'm on the other side, but I really like, I don't go every year, but when my family lives in Florida, my uncle actually used to work at Universal. So I would get comped tickets and I would go to Universal and I would love it. I loved it a lot. So
It's
I
got to
can't
feel
even
better to go for free. You know what I mean? Going for free to a theme park must feel good.
For sure, because you go and then you already spend like $50 on food. But yeah. Anyway, who are we talking about again? Christian? He's not even a Disney adult.
No, he's not. But it's a great first impression. Christian is a type of nerd and a type of like casting for Survivor that I don't think had ever presented itself, at least in recent times. You have like your Aubrey and your David, but Christian is a new thing. What made Christian like a new thing to you?
I think he is just a true, extremely intelligent, like a nerd's nerd. Like we've gotten super fan nerds kind of. I mean, we've had people like, Cochran or something on. Not to say that Cochran's not smart. He like went to Harvard. Did he go to Harvard?
I think so.
Does he have a law degree from Harvard Law? Maybe I
think so.
Sorry,
Underreported
Cochran.
story, but I believe that's what he did. And I think he went on Survivor as Harvard Law student. I think. I could be wrong.
I think so. So anyway, we have had true nerds, but like, okay, I can tell you now as someone in academia myself, pursuing my PhD, when I met Christian, when he was on the show, he had finished his PhD, he had finished his postdoctorate degree, not degree, but position. And academics are a different kind of nerd because you have to be so obsessed with what you do to make that your life's work. And he's just highly, highly intelligent, but he's also, as we know, very social, funny. He gets it. He's not like, I think that's what makes him different is he's not just like a nerd about Survivor or just like he's nerdy because he has dorky interests. It's like he's a true, he's a really intelligent guy, and it comes through in what he talks about, what he enjoys talking about, the way that he talks, the phrases that he uses, the way that he hyperfixates on a slide puzzle. It's just like they've never had someone like that before.
Do you think, you are just recently finished PhD? Still in PhD?
No, I still have a year or so
You
left.
still have a year. You are the same age Christian was when he was on for the first time. Tell me,
That's
like,
right.
going through all the schooling that you've now done, what skills like come with that experience that translate to Survivor that maybe he presented in the real time when you were there?
That's such a good question. I think so. PhD is, yes, it helps to be intelligent to do it, but it's really not about raw intelligence. It is about perseverance and tenacity and sticking with something when it gets hard, when it is confusing. It's like a giant puzzle. A PhD is like a giant puzzle. And like I said, you have to have a passion for that. You have to have an interest in it. You have to have curiosity, willingness to learn, all of these things that I feel like, he had. And he would talk about robots and stuff like that. And I think one of the reasons that he and I got along so quickly was because I have that same curiosity, the same thing, interest in learning that made me do a PhD, albeit in a different field. That I remember asking him questions about his work and robots and things like that. But like, I really wanted to understand, like, for example, he had said that his specialty was bipedal robots, robots that can walk. And I was like, "Well, why would we need robots like that? Like, why do you need robots that can walk? Why can't you just have robots, why is it important that it's the same shape or whatever as a human? Why can't you just have one on wheels or like one that's like a snake that wiggles through things?" And he would answer my questions in great detail. Like he would talk about certain situations in which you would want something that could maybe fit into a space like a human could, or like I don't know. I want to say he had some example that was like about fire fighting or something. I don't remember
Mhm.
now. But anyway, he had an answer for my kind of like very specific questions. And I feel like maybe that's why we got along, is because we both have this interest in learning and understanding and wanting to understand the why and the how. So that's yeah, that's what I've gained from my PhD. And that's definitely where he, excels in his like intelligence and everything.
Does your grocery store have a robots? Do you have robots at your grocery store?
No.
They have
You do?
well, not in New York anymore, but when I lived in Philly, like the Giant, shout out to Giant if you're going to Giant. But the Giants
Okay.
have like it's a big robot, but it's on wheels and it will go
Yeah.
from aisle to aisle. I guess doing, I don't know, quality assurance. I don't know what it does. But if
Yeah,
that
it doesn't do
robot
much.
had 2 feet, I would hate that. If it was
And you
walking
would push it
around,
over.
I would
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of the fights I can win, Gabby. I can push that thing over. It's not gonna get up. It's gonna lay there.
Yeah, that's actually what Christian has said a lot of his lab spends time doing, is just pushing robots over and making them fall. He was on
Yeah.
the Stephen Colbert show. Like a clip of their research was shown, and because it was shown in like a funny way where it's like these nerds are pushing this robot around.
Yeah.
So I'll try to find the clip. It's I think it's on his website, but I remember he showed it to me once. On the island, on the tablets that
Yeah.
we have
They
secretly.
have Wi-Fi there because Kyle Frazier
Yeah.
keeps putting stuff on Instagram now. So I guess
I
he
know,
found the
yeah, they
Wi-Fi
have
hotspot.
Wi-Fi. Yeah, they
Interesting.
old school didn't have it, but it's yeah, season 37 and on, they installed Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
They took away our swimsuits, but they installed Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Yeah. I spent a lot of time on Pinterest when I was there
Mhm.
because it would calm me down.
Yeah,
Is Christian good at now? You guys have like built-in rapport because you're both like, I don't want to assign nerdy to you, but you both have
that's
similar
okay.
niche interests. Can Christian do that with like your Jessica Pete or a B when like somebody who's not built in like has a similar like subset of interests?
Yeah, yeah, that's what makes him such a good, survivor player and just like a fun and amazing human being, is he really can get along with anybody. He can find something. So I think that same curiosity that I was talking about, he will ask people questions, but like meaningful questions, like, questions that get them talking about their interest. And he also has a really special skill, I think, of being sarcastic in a way that amuses himself that other people don't notice. Like if someone said something kind of wacky and pseudosciency or something, something like some kind of wacky conspiracy or something, I think he has the magic gift of like responding to them in a way that like doesn't make them feel bad or stupid, but he's being a little bit facetious. Like I could imagine that with like a coach or something out there
Sure.
where he's like so even if you don't have the same interests, he will either be genuinely very interested, or even if he thinks you're spewing uh crap,
Mhm.
he is very skilled at I don't know, being clever and biting without being mean.
The person that I thought of while you're describing that is Rob, who would otherwise be hosting this podcast if not for
Yes.
a trip to Scotland. He can do that exceedingly. I think they both have
Yes.
that gear, which is a hard. I don't think I
Totally.
have that. I don't think
It's
most people have
hard.
that. But
Yeah, I don't
I've seen
have that.
Christian
I
do it.
think yeah, he's good at that. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I'm imagining Rob is doing that right now with like some of the housewives, right? They're just saying, and he's like,
Mm,
yeah, no, and definitely he's so good at that.
he's really good.
Christian is good at that sort of thing too. But yeah, he's also just, I mean, so part of the his and my story, I mean his story really, it was with the brochachos on our season, was because he could do that. He was like, I think like I have a bit of a harder time, kind of like, I don't know. I think he's fine. At least at the time, I don't, maybe he's a little older now. Like he's kind of fine. Be like going jester mode. Like I think that's why I was a little bit like, when we were in the game, I maybe have a harder time with that of like when it's like Dan rendering and John Hennigan, it's like, and they're like broing out. I at the time was like, I'm not playing your stupid game, and Christian's like, I'm gonna do pull-ups on the tree, and I was like, oh, this guy, even though he's totally doing like the correct thing that you should be doing. So will he be able to, be silly and goofy out there? I think 100%. And, tell his robot stories and stuff like that. But no, he's very, very funny and personable and easy to get along with. And, he has interests and stuff that are not just his research, which is good, as any researcher should, but I don't think is true for everybody. But, he watches movies,
He
TV.
does.
He can talk about that kind of stuff.
He is somebody who I think, like, when I think of popular Survivor characters, contestants, whatever you want to call them, in the last, post season 20, I think he is the number one person in that regard. I think that he is on every list that you saw on people, people would make
Oh
TikTok
yeah.
or on Reddit. He was, I think the Rob is a podcast. I forget what the number was, but they did a poll of who do you want to see on season 50. He had like some insane percentage with such a gap with the second person. Is that something that you could feel in person? Could you tell like this is a guy who's like gonna leave a lasting impression?
Yes,
Yeah,
100%. Like, he just has that something. Like, he's so likable just as a person that all of us feel. And then you could also just feel in his rapport with Jeff and the things he would say at tribal council. I was like, he is going to be a star. And I remember like knowing that too. Like after the game, I remember thinking to myself, like, Christian is going to be totally a breakout star. And ironically, I actually thought I would be kind of invisible or something because of that. Like I was like, oh, Christian's going to be the star and I'm going to be like some kind of sidekick, like nobody person that he's aligned with. And then they showed me crying about every 7 minutes on the show, so that was not true. But like I think we all knew. I think I remember there was, I think probably the first tribal council we went to, he says something that makes it on the show. He says he makes an analogy about, like a roller coaster. And he's like, well, with a roller coaster, like, are you actually, I can't even replicate what he said, but something like, you're scared because you you're it's not because you know you're going to be okay after the roller coaster. It's because you actually for a second believe you could die. And there's like a silence in the show, and in real life it was completely silent, and we're all like, oh. That's like, especially the first time you ever go to tribal councils, like the first time you're kind of hearing people speak really publicly in that kind of way, I guess, besides, like match hats or something like that. But I think even from that early on, I was like, this guy is good at talking and he's good at like this thing. Yeah, what a star. I yeah, love him.
When people meet like a Tom Cruise, like a larger than life like actor of sorts, and you read like the Reddit threads of like what's a celebrity encounter you've had, like that's how I feel like people describe it, is it's like so big, it's such a big presence that they can feel from a distance. And I
Well,
don't know
what's
how that
funny?
works. Oh, go ahead.
No, you say.
I put a pin, but like on season 50, I don't know if that's a good thing to have.
Well, we can put a pin on that because I do think compared to some of those huge personalities, I actually think he'll be pretty normal. I actually think when I say all of that, I mean it really in the context of like, I don't know, Survivor was just kind of his jam. Like he was just like good at it. He just stood out. He was likable, but he didn't have that kind of, I wouldn't say it was like a Tom Cruise thing. Like, I don't think, no offense to him, adore him, but like he didn't have that thing of there's an aura around him. He walks into a room and everybody kind of looks. Like, I don't think so, which I think was his superpower in like, you didn't expect this guy to be so charming and lovely. That was actually something I really ascribed, that aura I really ascribed to the Goliaths. And I remember when people would ask me how I felt about, like after the show, would ask, how did you feel about your season with the theme and everything? And like, did you think people were on the right tribe? And I remember there was discourse on Reddit and stuff after my season. People were like, well, why is Alec on the Goliaths? He's just a bartender, as if it was something about your job. But really it was about the aura. And I will say, the Goliaths had the aura. Like there was just like a certain confidence, like type of thing. And at the time, like I don't think Christian really had that. In fact, one of you want to hear another first impression story? I think this has now been said, so I don't think I'm saying an embarrassing story that's never been said, but I don't think it's as well known of a story, which is that at Ponderosa, we get told like don't go in the water, or you don't go in the ocean because like they don't want you to get injured and stuff before the game starts. So like, right, we're all just kind of like sitting on the beach reading. You're sitting in the restaurant area or whatever it is. But when we were at Ponderosa, I think it's somewhere else now, there was like a dock that goes over the ocean. You could walk up and down that, and people did. You could sit there. You could do whatever. You just weren't supposed to go in the ocean. But this man was, I think, probably sitting with his feet dangling over the edge, and his flip-flop falls into the ocean from the dock. I don't remember if it was one flip-flop or two. It doesn't really matter because at that point, you got to go retrieve it. And so I don't think we really noticed that the flip-flop dropped because that's kind of subtle. But what we all noticed was him walking back from the dock, talking to a handler or something. And like, you can't hear them. You just see them kind of like, I don't know, like pointing. And then just slowly start wading into the water to go retrieve the flip-flop. And it's just like, I think a lot further out than he thought. Like, it just felt like it took a really long time, and he's hiking up his pants, and he's wading out there, and, at first you're kind of like, "What's he doing?" And everyone else is, like, making eye contact at each other, like, kind of laughing at the situation, and he's, like, not making eye contact with anyone. He's, like, looking, just like he's just trying to get the thing done, and then, yeah, he comes back with flip-flops in hand. But, like, we were laughing. People were laughing. But still, it's not like when I saw that, I wasn't like, first boot, oh my God, loser energy, bye. I was just like, this guy, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like you lost your flip flops already.
That in itself does feel like an aura to have something like that embarrassing happen to you. And like that wasn't anybody's first thought, or maybe it was in it's underreported story. But if you can have something like that happen in front of 19 people and then it just is not canon, it doesn't ever come up. Like that's something. You have to have like a fun
Yeah.
way about you to be able to do it.
Exactly, like, maybe if he had really looked so, like, self-pitying, if he had been
Sad.
walking back like Charlie Brown, like, "Boom, boom," like, that would have
Yeah.
maybe been really bad. But I mean, yeah, I haven't talked to him about that story in ages, but, yeah, I guess that is an aura, but, like, he has a very non-threatening aura,
Yeah.
so to
Did the
return to your
Goliath,
yeah,
the
yeah.
the Goliath folk in the pregame, which you didn't know beforehand that they weren't in your tribe, did they exude aura before the buffs were decided? Like you could feel
Yes.
that then? Yes.
Oh yeah, 100% because when they put us on the mats on the side that we were supposed to be on, I didn't know the theme, but it was calculating, and I remember at one point I thought to myself, I think the theme is going to be top dogs versus underdogs. So I was kind of right, but it took
It's a
until
good
we
theme.
were it was a good theme, but it's basically my theme in a, like, secular way.
Yeah.
But, oh, I have one more story about about Christian and the tribe split, which is, yes, so you could feel people's aura, but since they'd never really had a season like that, when we were going out to start the game, we were first on boats because we had the shots with the where you're on the separate boats of each one is your tribe. But you're not wearing buffs yet. So like we don't know the theme. And sometimes they do it where it's the people, on your boat is your tribe, and sometimes they don't. So like they're sorting people into the boats, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is it. We're seeing our tribes. And as many fans know now, your wardrobe is kind of strategically chosen to match your tribe's colors, more or less. So on my season, it was orange and purple, orange Davids, purple Goliaths. And it made sense when you saw people come out in their game clothes for the first time because people were sort of in shades of yellow, red, orange. That would be my tribe. And then people were in shades of purple, blue, green, cool tones. So cool and so when they start putting people onto the tribes, it's matching up, with like the color shirt that they're wearing and everything. And, the gender split is looking even. So I'm thinking like, oh my God, these are our tribes. These are our tribes. And so I'm looking at my tribe start to be built. And I'm literally feeling like, what is going on? Because all of these weak and small looking people are coming onto my boat and wearing the same color as me. And I'm starting to freak out. And there were two men left, Alec and Christian. And I'm looking at my tribe and I'm thinking, oh my God, we're so screwed. The other tribe has like Dan and John and all these tall people. On my tribe, I'm like, okay, Pat, he's a bigger guy. So I'm like thinking, I'm looking. Alec is wearing salmon colored shorts, AKA in my color family. And I'm thinking, oh, they're going to put him on my tribe. That guy looks, to balance it out. And I was also thinking, I'm not on the same tribe as the male nerd, where like the male for, different gender version of each other. Alex wearing salmon shorts. Christian is wearing a dark blue shirt, his robot shirt. And I'm like, okay, here's where the balancing thing comes. And the production assistant or whatever points at Alec and puts him on the other boat, and puts at Christian, puts him in my boat. Now, do I think to myself, oh, I guess I was wrong? No. The entire first 20 to 30 minutes of the boat ride, I legitimately thought to myself, that PA made a mistake and it's so embarrassing for them and they're probably going to get fired. And I even had like a 0.5% desire to be like, Are you sure that was right? I almost
Yeah.
said, like, but he's wearing orange shorts.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
are you like, you and as they're filming the boats, they're filming the close-ups, I'm still thinking, "Oh my god, we're gonna have to redo this whole thing because that PA made a mistake. I can't believe no one's catching this."
Yeah.
They switched the guys. They put the guys on the wrong boat. They're wearing the wrong color. We have the weak guy. We need that strong guy wearing orange. And it probably took me 30 minutes of like them filming the shots of us on the boat before I realized, like, oh my God, this is they would have noticed if there was a mistake by then. Like, I really thought
Yeah.
we were going to turn around and they were going to switch them off the boats. So then, yeah, by that time, that's when I started thinking, like, this season theme is something effed up. Like, what's going on? So yeah, then when it was revealed, it was what it was. But I legitimately was looking at Christian thinking they're putting that blue guy on that other tribe because he's too weak. We need that strong guy, Alec.
Yeah. Top Dogs versus Underdogs, a really good name. It is essentially what you did, like it's that season, but it is.
It
I'm
is.
surprised they've never done that. That's a great name. That's like an Australian Survivor situation. They might take
Yeah.
that.
Top
They're
dogs
listening to it.
versus underdogs.
That's what they'll say in that accent. We can go play that. However, we'll cut this out. If you don't want to talk about it, we'll cut it out. We'll cut it out. Season 40 in its original iteration was not a winner situation. It was
Correct.
an all-star situation that I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, that you've publicly said before that was something that you were involved with.
I was contacted, but
Sure.
a lot of people are contacted. I did, yeah.
Sure.
I was contacted.
And assuming Christian was also, what was that like for your then relationship after having played almost the entire game together? You come home, you grow closer. Once like another opportunity is back on the table, how does that change a relationship with Christian?
I don't think it changed anything between us. I think we would have totally been cool and been happy to work together and things like that. But I always, and so it was the same way around for this time around season 50. I always had the thought, like, you're coming back, buddy. You're coming back. You're an all-star. You are and always will be an all-star. It's a RuPaul quote. I would always, always, always have been thrilled if he got on any kind of returning player season. And it would have been cool to play again, but I remember also we could be really targeted as a duo if we both went back. So um yeah, I don't think it would have changed much about our relationship, but like I just always knew he would go back, and even like this iteration, I think it was never a doubt in my mind that he would get chosen. I felt actually for me it was more like, well, would they put two people from the same season? I mean, then dot 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 we got three people from the
They
same
put
season.
3.
They put 3. However, I will say also, I know we're not focusing on Mike and Angelina in this interview, but you could not have chosen a better 3 from my season. I mean, I'm saying that as somebody who, like, I would totally be willing to go back. And I would say, someone like Davey would be awesome to come back. But like, if you had to pick 3, I am not at all shocked. Like, for me, it was always going to be Christian. Like, please bring Christian back. I wanted him to come back. Angelina, iconic, like she is unlike anyone we've seen. There are not enough like women, like female player characters like her. And then like, how are you going to say no to the creator of the White Lotus? Like, you're not going, you're bringing on Mike. So people, friends of mine and stuff have been like, oh my God, but they brought back 3 from your season. Like, aren't you mad that you're not one of them? And I'm like, honestly, if I put on my producer hat, I would have chosen those 3 as well.
And you are in a minority where you're on a season where it's not only just you and Davey, which would obviously be next, whatever, but there's like other people from your group too that would make a run again. Like you guys have so many people who a second round makes so much sense, where that's not the case with other seasons at all.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think our cast was stacked in personality. I don't know. It was really lightning struck or something. But Yeah, I think a lot of people from my cast would be great on a return. Even people that people don't wouldn't think of or wouldn't expect. Like I would love to see like Elizabeth Olsen back. Like I think she's hilarious and iconic. She's one of my very good friends from the season still actually. She's probably like the person I talk to the second most after Christian.
Tell me about, and we're not focusing on Mike White, but tell me about like from the brief time that you spent with Mike White on Survivor, the times you chatted afterward, like what about this experience do you think made him want to be back in for this? I know he's given interviews as of recent, like this is what I have to do to get a vacation, which is like a cheeky, funny thing. But
He's
like,
funny. Yeah.
tell me about what you know of the Mike White, like why another round on Survivor is something that he would subject himself to now.
I I think he just has a curiosity about people. Like I think what he does as a writer and as, creative person is explore stories, explore narratives and explore stories of people and characters. It's like I think he just likes first of all seeing how others are, and then I think also when you go through something with such highs and lows as Survivor, you learn things about yourself, you learn things about the human experience. It's like a way of getting an extreme, like something so extreme, right? There's very few times in life you get to experience something so extreme. I say get to, but or are forced to, like even like like pain or joy or anything like those are relatively muted in your everyday experience. And people talk about the best day of their life might be like when their child is born or something like that. And so that's like an extreme high, but that's not happening all the time. That's happening once or twice or however many times you have kids. And then the same with like I mean I imagine like giving like childbirth, it's like that's probably the most painful thing you've ever again, it's not something you experience. So it's like there's very few experiences in life I feel that are so intense, that are so concentrated. And I think it's a certain type of person that wants to experience those things, aka those, 607 of us who have signed up to play. And I think it's rare for someone that exists in Hollywood, which is a place of relative comfort and luxury and all of these things. And I've been to Mike's house. He has a nice house. He has, he lives in comfort. So I think it's really rare and like a special kind of person that would want to take himself out of that place of luxury and comfort and push himself. And I don't know him as well as other people do. I can't speak to like what exactly that is, but I think he like many of us just has a curiosity and um like a desire to learn more and to experience more. Like it's cheesy, but it's like it's an adventure, right? Like just I don't know, have an adventure that not everyone can have.
You've always said to me, even pre me being on Survivor, post you, is you think you would have benefited on Survivor from being a couple years older. Like
Yeah.
the age you played Survivor is maybe, which is 25. I was also 25, different situation. But like being a couple years older for the three people from your show who are now, I guess, 8 years older, is there a change that you could see in their personality from like your Angelinas or your Mikes, having that? I mean, granted, Mike has lived, as I'm sure Angelina has also, but Mike has lived a whole lifetime since then with just
80
the
plus
success that
years.
he's found. And Angelina has now had, I think, what, children, plural children,
Children, yeah.
two children. So like they're like life experiences obviously come in 8 years, but is there any benefit that you see for them now having been older?
Yeah,
Little
I think so. I think I so probably the person I could speak on least about that would be Mike. I haven't seen him in several years. But he's probably in a very different place now with like he was always successful, but now he's certainly reached like a new level of success. And I wonder, I'd be curious to know like how that's affected him in some ways. Like I don't think he's like struggled with confidence, but like certainly like reaching some level of success has to kind of boost, your belief in yourself and your craft and your ideas like even more. But then I also wonder like what it's like, interacting with all these like famous, super duper famous people. But he's been in that world. So he's probably who I could speak the least on. And he was 85 years old when we played. So he is 93 now.
three.
So that might be hard for him.
Yeah.
Um,
Representation wise,
Angelina
though, I really stand by that we should be doing that more. Is
having
n-
93-year-olds on.
yeah, just because I needed somebody there to be better than. You know what I mean? And if we're doing that every
Yeah.
season, we have a 93, even 95. Push it a little
If
bit.
if they can run our country in the government, they can play Survivor.
And we've always said it. And we've always said it.
I've
I voted
always
today.
been
I
saying
just
that.
got back from voting. It's
Good for
super cool to
you,
vote.
for mayor
Yeah.
of New York City.
Yeah, they say ranking is arbitrary and reductive, but not in New York
No,
City.
it's
Not New York City.
important,
New York City,
and
you got to do it.
you got to do it.
And
That's awesome. Good for you. My voting day is next week for our mayor of Buffalo, New York.
sure. And you feel good about that.
I do. I know who I'm voting for. And I have a lawn sign on my
Ooh.
lawn for that person. And the name of the candidate that I'm voting for
Mhm,
is the first name, two first names
mhm.
of my landlords.
Okay, cool. And that's why you
Like,
decided to vote for
yeah.
that. Sure.
I saw the sign and I was like, I guess like those are the names of my landlords, so I'll vote for that. No, my landlords are am I allowed to endorse a political of a mayoral ballot in Buffalo on here?
Yeah.
Oh, my landlords are named Sean and Ryan. And Lauren, my partner, and I actually refer to them as one entity, Sean Ryan, because
Mhm.
we think it's funny. And because that's how their name was listed on Zillow when we applied for the apartments, we thought their
Sure.
name was Sean Ryan. Then it turned out to be one guy named Sean, one guy named Ryan. Anyway, now the mayoral candidate is he's named Sean Ryan. So I'm like,
But
well,
that's
it's
first
all
and
full
last name.
circle.
His
First
first
and
name is
last
not
name, yeah.
Sean Ryan.
Sean Ryan, Sean Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be tough. You go to Myrtle Beach, you're never finding a Sean Ryan keychain
Sean
on a
Ryan. No,
surfboard,
you're not. Yeah, no.
Do you want to
Two
give out
separate
your
names.
address to people for them to if they want to see the lawn sign?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. We'll do that at the end.
Um,
When we do plugs, we'll get there. I had
we do
another.
plugs. Well, I was
Yeah.
actually still talking about something, the
Sure.
age thing.
Age.
Mike is not 93 for I think people know, but when we were on the island, it was a running joke that he was 85 years old, which I think was also a strategic thing on his part because it was a self-deprecating thing to be like,
Mhm,
I'm not a threat, I'm 85 years old. But now he's 93.
mhm,
Uh so Angelina, I think she's had a lot of changes in her life in terms like you said, she has two daughters now. I think what time would do the most for her, and honestly, just like being able to see our season is like the self-awareness that like no, I'm not saying that just for her, but for all of us as we get older, we gain more self-awareness. And I think, she made it really far on our season and then had to hear from the jury about here are some of the reasons that you maybe rubbed some of us the wrong way. And so for her having the opportunity to hear that and learn from that, as well as getting older, I think will be really good for her. And I think, she's seems like an amazing mother. I mean, she is. I've seen her. So I've seen her with her one daughter, but I have not seen her with her second daughter. I'm assuming she's as good of a mother to her
She
second
seems like
daughter
it.
as
I follow
she
her too. I
seems.
think I would say that she seems like a good mom.
She I mean, she adores her girls. They're so sweet. Yeah, I met her older daughter, but not her younger daughter's name is Gabriella.
Too.
Named after me. Yeah.
Middle name
She
Sean
asked me.
Ryan. What's
She
that?
said she texted me. She said, "Can I name my daughter after you? I really miss hanging out with you in
Yeah.
Fiji." And I
And
said,
you said
"Sure."
sure. Sure. And
I
you
said,
said
"Sure."
sure with a period because you
I
wanted her
said,
to know you didn't love it, but you
"Yeah."
said sure. Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, but that's fun. Yeah, I think she has a beautiful life in San Diego, and also she looks like she's been working out. So I'm sure
She's been
she's
working out.
like she looks fit. So I mean that can happen in shorter time than 8 years, but good for her. And then lastly, Dr. Hubicki, I think for him, confidence, um, I think confidence is going to be probably like the biggest growth uh thing that's happened for him because like I said when we played he had finished his postdoc and he had he had gotten job offers for being a professor, which is really hard to do for people not in academia. It's hard to get an offer as a professor, especially at what's called an R1 or a Research 1 university, which means there's a lot of research activity that happens at that university. And so he actually was getting offers for these positions in the days leading up to, like, this was overlapping with when he was going to go to pregame Ponderosa. So he was frantically, none of us knew this obviously until the end, that he was frantically trying to sign his paperwork and stuff to accept his job so he hadn't been a professor yet. When you're a PhD student, I think confidence can be hard to come by. There's a lot of self-doubt because you're trying to get your research out. You might have an advisor that you get along with better or not so great. So he was doing a postdoc. So you're still working under somebody when you do that. So there's a lot of, like, you're not in charge of your own lab like he is now. Actually, fun fact, the lab where Christian worked for his postdoc in Atlanta, Georgia, at Georgia Tech, is the same lab that Eva was an undergrad research assistant in, I think he told me.
Her web connects us all. Eva is what they say about Eva.
Yeah.
Her web connects Christian and all of us. Her boyfriend lives in New Jersey. I love him. I lived there for a while. Pretty lit.
Yeah. But anyway, Christian runs his own lab now, and he certainly, he is married now to his amazing wife, Emily. And, I think there's more that he, in a way, that he's fighting for now, like he has his family. He has, he has his life that he's truly trying to build now that he is a professor. He has tenure, he's settled. I think, like, that will motivate him in a big way.
I think that also having to deal with students for as many years as he has maybe helps with a younger contingent. If he by chance meets people that are, I don't want to say much younger, but you get a couple people who are fresh on the scene, who knows? Could be
That's
something.
true. I actually forgot that there were people younger, because in my head, we're sometimes still frozen at the age that we were. But you're right that, like, these new, I'm like, he's like similar in age to a lot of the old school contestants. Not a lot of them, but some of them,
Some of them, for sure.
Yeah, so I think he'll get along with them based on their age, but you're right, he can hang with the youngins. But I thought you were gonna say, like, just getting used to students and how they can sometimes be annoying and, like, not understand, like, frustrating. And
Oh, sure.
by the way, I love my students. I don't mean to be so negative, but sometimes students can also be, it's like you're handling. I thought you were going to say some of the Survivor contestants can almost act like they can be immature at times.
Oh, sure. And we'll get to that when we look at the graphic. We'll point out who those people are a part of this group, who those people, who the problem children.
Oh, I didn't know there was a graphic. I can't wait for the graphic.
It's, I wonder about, like, the coachification of returning to Survivor, where Coach is on season 18 and he's like a lot. And then he watches it and people are receptive to it, and maybe less so. But then Coach returns to Heroes vs. Villains and he's like a lot more than he was like, he comes in almost intentionally being a lot. I wonder that with the David vs. Goliath 3 that we're about to see, do you think anybody comes in and really leans hard into their thing that they've created from Survivor?
I think if it's anyone, then it's Angelina. If it's anyone, she's going to be making self-deprecating jokes about the jacket. She's going to be, so we'll see, I think, like, that level of self-awareness where she's aware. But, like, I wonder how much, like, are we going to get self-awareness at, like, a grander level about, like, you can't just get by on, like, making a passing reference to, like, the jacket or whatever. So
is the jacket her first confessional? Is it brought up in the first confessional, do you think?
100%. I think she's gonna have a jacket, a thick jacket. Did you see her Instagram post?
It was a lot of jackets. But even like, I
It
mean,
was a
a
lot
peek
of
behind the
jackets.
curtain, I sent in and I sent them pictures. I remember vividly sending them to you. I bought a lot of yellow jackets and then they all got rejected. Like I bought like a heavy, like the pictures that
Yeah.
Angelina posted, they were heavy snow jackets, which I
Yeah.
think is very
I don't know
funny.
if she's
I
it's
think it's
very
a really
funny.
funny bit to have. What do you think the opening line is in the confessional about the jacket? Do you want to like copyright with me and try to figure out what the exact line is that she says?
Oh my gosh. I'm not
Is
good
that
at these improv games.
sure, sure. Neither really.
What do you
I
think?
me saying that makes me think I had something to begin with, but like I don't have that. But I wonder, is she wearing the jacket or is she
She's
like,
wearing it. She's wearing it. And she's like, this time, I'm imagining like a Real Housewives thing where they turn. That's
yes,
not how
yeah,
Survivor is. But she's like, this time, I'm not gonna have to ask for a jacket
yeah.
because I
I have
brought
one.
my own. Yeah, I kind of fizzled out there. No, I
Yeah,
think she's. I don't know. She can see this is why she's on and I'm not because she's gonna think of gold that I could never think of.
no. Tell me, Gabby, who have you had a personal experience with on this list that is not the three people that you've played Survivor with? Who have you interacted with in person that you enjoyed the interaction, or not?
Or not enjoyed. I've interacted with Rick. I think we were at like a Survivor event together. I've interacted with a few of these people, but Emily, we play the online games together. Sometimes the Blood on the Clock Tower and that, which
Mhm.
by the way, Christian also plays in. So I think your good pal Emily, my good pal Christian. Here's hoping they link up and that they
Yeah,
don't let
they might.
let like some social strategy games they've played in which you're literally assigned a role of a bad guy, right? In these
Mhm.
games of Blood on the Clock Tower, you're assigned an evil role. That's not how Survivor is. So I'm hoping they can actually work together and not let themselves have paranoia of like, are they lying to me? It's like in that game you have to lie because it's part of the game. But I mean, I guess in Survivor. But Emily, what a gem. What
Oh
a
my god,
sweetheart. I
the
know
best
she's your
person.
good friend, but she's great. She's so
It
funny. She's so
it's so
smart.
in the beginning of the people get told they're going on Survivor 50. Like people have been told they are leaving. People have told they've been cut, and forever everybody's asking each other like, who's on Survivor 50? And the only two names anybody had until like a week before the season they left was it's like, oh, I heard Emily and Christian. Yeah, like we all heard Emily and Christian. Like they like they're the it makes sense, and
It's just
everybody
who
else was a
people
mystery for a
wanted.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just we can all
Yeah.
put that together. And then somebody was like, I think I heard
Yeah.
Q. Like, yeah, I think Q makes sense for what this is.
Yeah, it's like
But it was
people
just
just saying like who they think is like a sure shot. Yeah.
those two
Oh
were
my
always, and I
gosh.
think they're gonna link
I
up.
mean,
I feel pretty good about that.
I think so too. And actually, I think Christian and Rick might link up. I think they've communicated in the past, like because when your seasons are next to each other, like ours were,
Mhm.
you chat afterwards. And then who else I've interacted with? I've interacted with Genevieve,
Yeah, you put some spice on that.
Genevieve.
I really like it.
I
Yeah.
did. Because she and a bunch of her 47 castmates were in Buffalo one weekend with and so I had met Andy previously because he's from Buffalo and he was here for a few weeks on and off. And so when they visited, I met up with them. They were a lovely cast. They were so nice. They
They're
bought
great.
me so many margaritas, which was so nice of them. They were fun. Like it was fun. It's rare. I liked that season a lot. Like the actual people in it because it's not every time I meet people and I actually like them. But I remember specifically loving Genevieve because let me tell you like an anecdote that I feel like really captures the type of person that she is. Why did I say I don't really know her? I hung out with her for a few
You
hours
know
once,
her.
but to me it told me about who she was, which was when you are in these groups, everyone's excited, everyone's talking, everyone's also a huge extrovert, and like we're all these people that were cast on Survivor, so we're used to being the life of the party. Everyone's trying to tell a story, and people talk over each other and all of those things. And Genevieve is the type of person where that thing where you start saying something but someone else kind of says something over it and then your thing kind of gets forgotten. Genevieve was the type of person to say, oh, but Gabby, you were saying about blah, 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 and she'll bring it back to you. And I literally remember feeling like that was so kind of her. And that was also, she's just that so socially like aware and just like, it was not coming from like a pretentious or anything. It was genuinely like a very kind, good thing to do. So I always like remembered that about her from our very little interaction and always appreciated that about her. But you can just tell she is sharp as a tack, and so sweet. Her husband also hilarious. Also, I do follow him on Twitter, and I love him on Twitter. But
Can
he
I
was
tell
also
you?
so sweet. I love
I think
Canadians.
he's the funniest person I think I've ever been around in my life.
Wow.
I texted Genevieve to get to Mark. I said, "Can you give me Mark's number? Like I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
need to, I
He
need
was
to talk
really
to Mark
funny.
more." He really is
He was
so
great.
funny.
I want to
I
hang out with them more. Like
mhm.
I miss that time that we all got to hang out. I'm kind of missing hanging out with this cast of season 47.
Can I tell you a Mark joke that he made that I really liked?
Please.
I forget what the hat was, and Mark listens to, hey Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Um, he
Oh,
was
hi,
wearing a
Mark.
hat. I don't know if it was the general NFL logo or the NBA logo, but it was one of the two. It was just the logo for the
Just the
franchise.
logo.
And somebody asked him about it, and he said, "I just love that those guys are out there doing it," was the quote. And I was incapacitated with the idea of just like, he just loves the franchise. He loves the game. You know what I mean? I think that's really
Just the
cool.
game.
I love the game. I think
I
that's
do. I
really,
love the
really
idea of
awesome.
just loving the franchise. I'm not going to pick
Yeah.
sides. I just like the NFL. That's
It's not
good.
nice to pick sides. It's nice to just appreciate the game as it's happening.
I went to kindergarten with season 49 female.
Really? Wait, I want to remove the graphic. Say that. Also, she's not on the graphic.
No, season
we
49
pulled it up.
female was my best friend in kindergarten. I remember
Are
her.
you-
She looked just like that. No, she looks the same. She had just white white body,
Mhm.
no face, no features, just white,
Sure.
sort of that outline of hair. And we were
Yeah.
friends in kindergarten. I can't believe she made it on season 49 female. Back then, we just called her 49.
Mhm.
So, so
And you've told me this story before that she was sitting alone at lunch, kind of putting
she was
food into
sitting alone.
this void of nothing. She has no
Yeah.
mouth, and you
She had no
went and sat
mouth.
there. Yeah, it was very nice
Yeah,
of you to do
yeah.
that.
I think female actually might be her married name, because I don't think that was her name when we were in kindergarten.
So what was her name?
Yeah.
Did she
It was
have one?
Smith. Yeah, it was Smith.
Smith.
It was 49 Smith, and now
Yeah,
she's 49 female. I guess she married a woman, I think, is how that happens. She married a
passes the
female
Bechdel
that
test.
her
Would the 49 female, would she get along with Christian from what you remember from kindergarten?
No, because, on account of her having no face. So
Yeah, he's told me in text that he connects with people best when they do have a face
with
to
the
talk
face,
to.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know, and the facial if he has to be able to read the facial expressions, so given that she's sort of
Mhm.
just like a white blob, silhouette, it's not, I don't think I mean, it kinda made sense that she was sitting alone because it was freaky.
It was hard to look at for sure.
It was hard to look at. Oh, you know what? I don't even know if that's her. It might have she had a few sisters in school, so I might be getting them mixed up. Anyway, those
Yeah.
are the people that I know, and I met Ozzy once when we were in LA for the season of our finale of ours show,
Mhm.
mine show, and he has a restaurant or had a restaurant, and
Mhm.
that was near Mike's house, and Mike was like, "Yeah, it's Ozzy's restaurant," and Nick Wilson really wanted to stop in, and we went in, and he wasn't there, and then we asked somebody, "Is Ozzy here?" And they were kind of like, and then like Nick was like, we were on Survivor," and they were like, okay. And then they like grabbed him, and then we were all like, "Hey, we were on Survivor," and he was like, "Oh, all right, awesome." And he like, I don't even think had like seen our season. So that was my interaction with Ozzy. But
And it's a
he
pretty good
seems
one.
cool as hell. He seems cool as hell. Honestly, go Ozzy.
I said this on the Patreon podcast that we did, the first boot draft, which you can still watch. It's not outdated until February 2026. But I was with Ozzy at the Ron Clark Academy. One, Ozzy was so nice to me, which I really appreciated. Ozzy and I do not have I did not know how that interaction would go if he still watched the program. He was so nice. However, as the night elapses, and I'm saying this this is now canon, a fan gave him one of the Taylor Swift beaded bracelets that everybody has that they personalize with like the letters, and Ozzy ate it. Ozzy just put it in his mouth and chewed it and swallowed many of the beads. He didn't swallow every bead. He spit out 1 or 2 beads, but most of the beads he swallowed. The string, I believe he swallowed also. And there's no way of knowing if he thought it was edible. I was in shock. I watched it the same way you would watch, there was the movie, this is a weird film reference. They did the movie way back in the day where they showed the train coming and the whole audience wasn't used to that perspective, and they all started screaming. That's how I felt is just, I was so,
is this real?
Is this real? Yeah. It's like if I take a Benadryl, that's normally what happens, what I see in my dreams, but this was real in front of me. And I'd love to know if you're listening to this and you're the fan who witnessed that with me. Tell me. I think if my memory is right, Kelly was next to me or Hannah Rose was next to me. I was next to somebody who I shared the moment with, but a fan gave the bracelet. So if you're listening to this, I'd love to know you. I'm putting together a Netflix documentary about the moment. I need to interview you. What happened?
I think he must have passed it as well. Do you think like it was in the toilet? It was spelling out like #1 Survivor.
Yeah.
But it was spelling out got fun betrayal.
Oh my God. Yeah. Is Mike White's gonna like Joe? You see that? Is that an interaction that what goes on there, do you think?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm buckled in the same as all of you to see who these people get along with. Like, I'm scared. I'm scared for Christian. I'm like, Christian, you better choose right, because Christian's my #1 rooting interest. Like, it's actually kind of nice that I don't have that many. I don't really have friends on the cast, because there's a world in which like I could have been friends with like a lot of people on the cast, right? And then it's sort of like you know, I don't know who to root for. I mean, you have 2 friends from your season in Emily and Dee, so it's like, well, Dee already won, so you don't have to root for her.
I think she's gonna win again.
You think so? You don't think she'll be like?
I mean, it's so funny. So before we did this exercise, and now we're halfway through. If you're listening to every episode, I thank you so much. I thought Dee was going to win. When I see the cast, I feel good about Dee. Nobody in the world is better at locking in than Dee can lock in. If Dee wants to win, Dee's going to win. However, the amount of admiration that the older era folks have for Joe from season 48, I'm feeling a type of way about Joe. If Joe links up with them, the older folks, which he could, and Joe is the new era representative in a final 3 of older folks, I think the new era people want a new era person to win. I feel really weirdly good about Joe. Whereas like Joe will not get less than 5th place. Like Joe's going to make it to the end of the game, I think, almost assuredly. Does he win? I don't know. I think everybody loves Joe. These older folks, Sari,
he seems like a lovely person.
Izzy said that Sari would not like Joe, which I wonder. I agree with because Izzy said it, but I'm curious to see that in action. But the older folks, like Joe, is one of the older folks. Joe is what they played Survivor with Joe's. Like they wanted to be Joe's.
Yeah.
And I feel like there is an admiration amongst the new era people for a Joe type, just because Joe is the only like type of his character that made it on this in the new era contingent. It's a lot of like younger, whatever folks. Joe has kids, Joe's a dad, whatever.
Yeah. I think for many of the same reasons that you said, I'm biased. Like, I actually think Christian Hubicki has a real good shot. And I think that's because he's in the kind of in between. He's not old school. He's not new era. But I think the new era people kind of admire him. They like him. The old era people, I think, are going to be charmed by him. He's similar in age to them. He, I think, is going to be able to connect with them on a more mature level that is not just like yeah, I think you're right to clock that. I think some of the old schoolers, it's like they don't want to give money to like a 23-year-old so much. They want to give money to somebody like, with a family, with real like that they can connect to in terms of, it's not that you have to be the same age, but just kind of same life stage. Feel like you're, like there's just like a shared respect, I think, that can come out of that. But I genuinely like, I mean, and I told Christian before he left, I was like, I am gonna tell you good luck and that you're gonna do amazing no matter what, because we're friends. But like, I was like, you could win. You could really win. You could really, really win. And we're gonna be so proud of you no matter what happens, which I hope he knows. I mean, he knows. But I really think he could win. I think there's we said put a pin on it earlier, because he is he can be a personality. There are people on here with way bigger personalities than him, way bigger egos. He doesn't have an ego like that.
That is a notable difference between him and the other folks here, is that there's no ego. Does he think he can win? Did you get that sense?
I think so.
What was his prep for this? Was there a lot of physical prep, or was he kind of as normal? And just like, I feel like even the first time, I feel like, not that I got the indication that he did not prep, of course, but I feel like he had a good thing last time. So I wonder what he sharpened this time.
He prepped, but not like a crazy amount. And I think a big part of that was like, he was very busy in his personal life. And, like being a professor, it's like he was busy up until the minute that he left. He told me, we talked on the day that he left, and he was like, yeah, I submitted like 5 papers yesterday. I signed off on this thesis and this and that. I signed my grad students almost couldn't get paid unless I signed this form. He was doing things until the second that he left, getting stuff squared away with Emily, getting stuff squared away at home. Like, so this man's been busy. So yes, I know that he was going to physically train. I know he was working on balance, because actually on our season there was a lot of balance, and I think that kind of made him realize like balance is so often in these things. And I think throughout the years he's done puzzles. I think he created himself a couple of years ago. I don't think this was so recent. He created himself an app, or like a thing on his phone or on his computer. He coded a program, is what I'm trying to say. He coded a program to randomize jigsaw puzzles. So that he would just practice jigsaw puzzle. That way you don't actually have to buy a new jigsaw puzzle. So he would randomize a jigsaw. It would change the shapes and the numbers of pieces and stuff like that. So like, I think he's practiced stuff like that. Obviously he's an expert at slide puzzles. But yeah, did he go join CrossFit and he can bench 100 pounds? Is 100 pounds a lot to bench? I genuinely don't know.
Wrong guy, my friend.
We are not the right to talk about that. No. But anyway, he's not doing that kind of stuff. He is a busy man, but I think like mentally, I think he's ready. I think he knows what he's fighting for. He knows what he's playing for. He's like, he's locked in. He's locked in.
Well, I'm excited to see it.
Me too. I'm so excited. This is so fun. It's so unreal. It's so unreal to be on this side as almost like a loved one, as like a friend of someone going on the show. Like, I'm like, I've never, I mean, I guess throughout the years, like when you went on and when, but like, there's something different about this being like a returning player season. It's just like, it's all very surreal. And I don't know if you saw, but like after the cast was announced, there was some article on, I don't even know what website, but it was like the best, the person that I'm most excited to see on season 50, and it's not who you would expect. Have you seen this article?
No.
And it's Christian. It's like a clickbait article. Let me find it. It's on like Vulture or something.
Okay.
Season 50. Anyway, let me find it.
And this was a complimentary article.
It was complimentary.
Interesting.
I can't find it, but it was a complimentary article, but the image, the top image graphic is like Mike White and I think maybe Angelina and Christian, and it's like like the best cast member. It's an article about Christian. I was
Yeah.
texting with his partner Emily about it, and I was like, "LOL, did you see this?" And she was like, "Yeah, my mom found that. We were like sending it around to the family was sending it around," and I was like, "This has got to be weird for you, right?" Because like it's weird the first time.
Hmm.
I'm assuming as the loved one of someone who goes, and
Yeah.
then the second time, it's like now it's this meta thing where people already know him and they just left and they're writing articles about him and like that's just like so weird and funny.
And there has to be some added pressure too. Again, I'm making this claim and I'm not the expert, but I think there's no male on this Survivor 50 cast that people are more excited for than him. I think Angelina is probably the flip side of that for the women. I think there is nobody who people just you have the super fans and you have people like my mom who watch and then forget.
Yeah.
Everybody is the most excited to see him. And that has to, it's an exercise in how you deal with pressure. It's just, that
Yeah.
can get to you, that can get to a normal person. But
For
I think that
sure.
there's a
For
lot
sure.
on his shoulders in a way that there was not the first time, and in a way that people are going on this cast who just don't have that same experience. People who are like, not to say that there's anybody in this group that I mean, there is people that you'd maybe trade out. Like they're not going in with the same pressure that a Christian is.
Yeah, I think he's such a fan favorite, like you said, among super fans and casual viewers alike. And actually that was like one of the few pieces of advice I gave him before he left was um don't think about yourself as a character or what things are going to be like on TV. Just focus on the game because like you are going to be amazing. You have the skills you need to succeed. And if you start thinking about how this or that is going to come across on TV, it's going to get too meta. You're going to get in your head. Because I think also beyond what you said with like the level of coming back again, he also is like he's a professor now. I mean, given he has tenure, so they can't get rid of him. But like, um, I think you think about your public image. You think about what your family is going to think. Like it, now that you know what it's like when you come back. And um, I know he's the type that, he wants to have, I think one of the things he was most proud of from the first season or from our season was there's like a random scene that is so adorable that he goes spearfishing. And in it, he talks about potential energy and kinetic energy. He does like a mini science lesson. And I know he's really proud of that scene because he feels, this really captured who I am. I'm a science communicator, I'm a teacher, and it's a very wholesome and cool scene. And my advice to him was like, don't produce yourself too much. Don't feel like you have to be some character of Christian, of what you say, because the way you speak naturally is so interesting and so funny, and your people are going to like you. So don't worry about trying to live up to something or get something super specific like that out of it. Just like have fun and do your best. And so I really hope that's what he's doing right now. I'm checking the weather all the time. I'm checking the time all the time. I might as well just add the Fiji clock to my phone screen and the Fiji weather, because every time I look, it's always almost like it's nighttime and I'm like, oh my God, they're at tribal council right now. And then I start sending out my positive vibes into the universe. Or uh often I'll look and it's like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. Fiji time, and I'm like, oh my God, they're running a challenge right now. Like I just keep
Doing a
thinking about what
challenge.
they're doing and hoping that they're good. And yeah,
I
it's
want to know so
surreal.
bad. I can't believe, like, I want to know
I
so
want to
bad.
know.
And
I
we
just hope
can't
they're
know. That's the
good.
thing about this is we can't know. And even if
We
we could
can't
know,
know.
nobody knows. But I want to know so bad.
Nobody knows. We're gonna know. We're gonna know
We're
in
gonna know.
February 2026.
Yeah.
We're gonna know. And like, how fun is that gonna be? We're gonna be able to watch our friends on TV. I mean, it's like I like I said, I've done it before, but this just feels different. Like that is my best friend from Survivor. That is somebody I spent 32 days with, more than any new era season, by the way. 32 days with straight bond. Then we spent 3 days apart, and then he got voted out. Then we spent the rest of the time together, spent all 12 hours on the Fiji airplane next to each other, talking, syncing up our movie, Space Jam. Like, that's my buddy, man. That's my friend. That is like, I know him from Survivor. Like, two people that met, and he's my buddy from Survivor, and now he's going on Survivor season 50 and playing with like Sari Fields. Like, that's so cool. It's so exciting. I'm like absolutely thrilled, over the moon. And yeah, thinking about him all the time and just hoping he's doing well.
Oh my God, that's so nice. I remember, again, personal anecdote. I watched the Learsa boot with you during the season. And I remember the morning afterward, you and Christian were debriefing for a while. And I just, as somebody who wasn't on it, I was like, oh, this is so cute. Like, this is such a wholesome thing. But that's what
so
everybody
funny.
does.
I don't
That's like your
remember
debrief.
that.
Yeah. That's your debrief partner,
Yeah. Oh yeah. When the show is airing, that is your, that's your closest, like, yeah, it's your debrief partner. That's your sanity check. And yeah, it's wild to think now he and I have been friends for, and when you said 8 years, I was like, that can't be right. So
Is that right?
no, it's right. It's
Oh,
right. I just can't believe it. We've been friends for 8 years. And like, we've seen each other go through so much stuff. He's been an amazing friend to me throughout it all. Like, even if we don't see each other in person as often as we would like, like, when we do catch up, it's great. I often ask him to put me on speaker so I can talk to Emily, and I check in on her, make sure she's doing okay. Having your partner be gone and like having no concept of what the process is like is probably also like extremely strange. Like, so yeah, I just like, I'm so excited, and he knows that we'll all be so proud of him no matter what, genuinely. And I think he brought some textbooks on an e-reader.
Cool.
So he, if he is first out, he said he's gonna make it a paid sabbatical is what he's, he's just gonna take the opportunity to do reading and stuff like that. But I don't think he's gonna be the first boot. I don't. And I really hope having 3 David versus Goliath people there doesn't paint a horrible target on him. I think actually Angelina and Mike might look like more of a duo than he does. So I'm hoping he can kind of like work that angle. Anyway, if it's not clear how excited I am, how much I adore him, and like how much I really think he could do well, hopefully people have gotten a sense from this podcast more about him. I don't know. Did we learn anything about Christian?
I think
like
we did. This was great.
He's such a mainstay. He's such a mainstay on RHAP. If you are listening to this because of season 50 and you're not a regular listener of RHAP, first of all, become a regular listener. But he has a whole series on RHAP called Ask Dr. Hubicki. So if you want to get to know him more, you can really get a sense of his personality and how just intelligent and thoughtful he is through that. And just like, he's just an amazing person, and he deserves truly to have an amazing time and a good time, and I think really could win. And maybe if he wins, then he can pay for me to visit Florida so that I can hang out with them and Emily.
Yeah, that's you know what? If Dee wins, she will do the same for me in a different town in Florida, but the same situation,
We should all just meet up in Florida.
And we've always said that we love Florida, and nothing
we
bad
love
happens
Florida
there ever. Gabby, this is so much fun. Oh my God. I had
so
the
fun.
time,
I know you're so good at this. Also, I'm so proud of you.
Wow.
A young Sesternino. I'm just kidding. You're your own person. But
we're trying.
How fun for you that you get to do this pod.
The thing that I've been saying to people is, you ever watch Whiplash with J.K. Simmons, the drumming movie? You know what that is?
That's what Rob does to you.
So that's the addendum that I make afterward is he's never done that. But I feel like I'm waking up every morning like wondering how I can make him more proud. Like I feel like it's a weird thing to have for a man who's not your father. But I do have like this like inherent need to like impress him at every minute.
Yeah,
So
I
I
have
hope
that
this
for a
does
lot of
that.
men who aren't my father.
Where
I
can
have that.
people, like more men, where can they follow you? Where can those men who have that
I don't
follow
want
you?
the men to follow
No,
me.
don't
They can
follow her.
follow
That was a
me.
riff and it was a bad one. Where can everybody
I'm
follow you?
I mean, I'm on Instagram at Gabscuzzi, but like I've really not been posting. I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter. My Gabby Pascuzzi. But like really I'm on here sometimes, TBH. And I feel like the RHAP people know that. And I think
Mhm.
um I am trying to be on social media less.
Yeah, that's a good plug. Is
I
I'm
really am
not going to be there.
trying.
Yeah.
I've thought to myself, like, if I had been on a season, like, should everyone go Genevieve mode and like not have public social
Hmm.
media? You know what I mean? Like, good for her. She's a queen
Yeah.
for that. And I've thought to myself, like, if I ever went back on this, or if I was again public, like, would I kind of lean into it and be like, okay, let me make some money, let me get some influencer
Sure.
dough out of this, or would I be like, I'm deleting everything, I'm going dark? Because I
Hmm.
feel like I flip flop between that every day now. Not being an influencer because I don't have any clout, but like
Yeah.
every day I'm like, I gotta just get rid of all of this, I think.
Yeah. Hannah Rose, my good friend, she'll be on it for a day. She'll make a new account. She'll say, "Hey, everybody, I'm here." 3 days later, gone. She does
I
it
love
three
that for
times a
her.
year.
Yeah,
You get the
that's so
fix,
good.
and then you get out of there.
Well, and she knows all about getting your fix and getting out of
Famously,
there.
famously, she did it to me. But we're here now, so it's great. Um, this was the Survivor 50 Files talking about Christian. We're going to talk about Angelina and Mike probably together. We're going to talk about them both. Stay tuned for next time. I'll see you soon. Thank you to our friends at Manta Sleep for sponsoring this episode of the Survivor 50 Files. You've made it to the end of the podcast. You've been here long enough. Let me show you my sleep mask, the one that I use and I use every night. Here it is. I've worn this every night for the past couple years, minus the 4 nights that I spent on Survivor, the television show. And it sucks to get voted out of Survivor, but a little bit better when you know you're going back home to this. This is 100% light blackout for deeper sleep. You put this on, can't see anything. When I watched the first 2 episodes of Survivor 45, I put this guy on. I don't have to relive it, which is great. It's adjustable for a personalized fit. You can see I have quite a big head. I don't want to show you the details of I've kind of worn out the elastic, but it's durable. This guy hasn't broke. I've worn it every night for the past couple of years, and it's zero pressure on your eyelids or eyelashes. I've converted so many people to getting this sleep mask when I wasn't doing this, and I want to convert you. Use promo code 50files. That's 50 FILES on the Manta Sleep website to get 10% off your order. That's 50 files, 50 FILES. We'll see you soon.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.